Good afternoon. Welcome to Engelberg in Switzerland for the first of two individual competitions over this weekend. An overcast, heavy sky here today in this lovely resort, all set for Christmas, and about to get underway with the competition in about 25 minutes from now. That is the first of the two individual competitions at the top of the hour, with tomorrow the second competition, as you will see, a little bit earlier in the day, and there'll be a qualification for that tomorrow. So one or two who didn't make it into today's event will have another opportunity. Yesterday, the spectators here were sparse, to say the least. Today, the 4,000-5,000 that we expect annually here in Engelberg, even a few more than that, so we understand, on this hill that was completely renewed 12 months ago. So before we get underway, for those of you who may not be too familiar with the sport, so, as I said, about 20 minutes to go before we start today's competition. So, for those of you who might not have caught up with yesterday's qualification, an opportunity to see how the business end of qualification, in what I have to say were tricky backwind conditions, quite strong backwind towards the end of the qualification. We're going to pick up the action with Piers Puschke of Germany in the lead at the moment, bib number 40, Granerud of Norway, 127.5 meters. Well, snow falling, but 10 minutes to go to the competition. The qualification, that was tricky yesterday. The trial round has been in tricky backwind conditions as well. A little bit more about that and who might win and who might struggle when we come back. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a very wintry Engelberg for today's sixth competition in the Wiesmann World Cup of ski jumping. I'm David Goldstrom, together with Eurosport's Nordic team. And as you can see, the snow is significant, but the backwind, which was so tricky last weekend, and in fact was tricky yesterday in qualification and through much of the trial round in the past hour, at the moment the wind is from a front direction, less than a meter per second, but it will be a case of the organisers and the snowblowers keeping the track clear to make sure that there's no resistance, that everybody gets a fair and clean opportunity in the first of these two rounds. Well, so far, 5 competitions, 4 different winners, and the bookmakers, well, it's an open field as far as they're concerned. Stefan Kraft yet to win, the defending World Cup champion, 11-4. Richard Freitag, 129 meters in the qualification in better conditions. That was a good effort from him, 4-1. Then Kubacki of Poland getting the distances in qualification yesterday, 5-1. Andy Wellinger of Germany, 7-1, along with Johan Andre Forfang. Camel Stock for Poland 8-1 with Daniel Andre Tande. And then Eisenbichler 20-1. Kobayashi overpriced at 20-1 in my opinion. The winner of the first World Cup, that's Junshiro Kobayashi. And Simon Amann at 50-1 on a hill which he's won not once but 3 times in his career. Robert Johansson, another overpriced athlete at 50-1 who has performed pretty well in difficult conditions. So here we are on this big hill, the Großer Titlis, and it's named after the big mountain that looks over Engelberg. Engelberg really surrounded by summits rising from 2,500 to 3,000 meters. Titlis in the south of the town, 3,238 meters. And then the Wallenstocke and Ruckstock to the north, Hahnen and Visberg to the east, and the Engelberger Rostock and Vissigstock, again all over 2,500 meters to the northeast. Engelberg, a really easy place to get to. I've mentioned it on several occasions, and it is by no means as packed as it will be for the Four Hills. Oberstdorf has sold out, 40,000 tickets already sold, and coming up to 20,000 for the qualification. We'll be there, first round qualification, 29th of December after the Christmas holidays. So it's by no means chilly. These are the facts and figures about the hill. The record belongs to Domen Preutz, back into competition. Domen, who won here last year, 144 meters. There are your 5 style judges, and as ever, each one with a possible 20 marks to allocate according to the performance. The management team, the usual suspects there, with Borek Sedlak controlling the green traffic light. And there you can see the town, or well, large village, as we see the World Cup rankings. Richard Freitag ahead of his German teammate Wellinger, Daniel Andre Tande in 3rd place. But a long, long way to go to Planica, 25th of March, when all of this Wiesmann World Cup season comes to a close. Well, there's Jonathan Leroyd representing France, known as Jonty, and he's done well to qualify into today's competition, which is his baptism of fire, so to speak, in the World Cup. But he's deserved to earn that place. Gregor Schlierenzauer, he was decent in qualification, as was Granerud in poor conditions. I thought he produced a good performance there. Simon Amann, who's got the timing of the hills really well, he's got the power, transition is going well, and the telemark is improving little by little. And then you have the likes of Maciej Kot, Jewa, who also might get a decent result out of today's hill, along with Dawid Kubacki of Poland. Robert Johansson, one of a number of Norwegians who could do well today, because it is very open. And it's interesting to note that whereas Norway, who absolutely dominated the team events, although they've won a couple by a whisker, nonetheless they've yet to win an individual competition. And the last Norwegian to win an individual competition dates back to Innsbruck in January of this year. So great atmosphere. It's, as I said, really easy to get here. Zurich Airport, train to Lucerne, walk across one platform, little mountain railway train, up here to Engelberg, get off the train, turn to your right, 200 meters, there's the hill, turn to your left, and you'll find one of several very good hotels and hostelries. But it's really good that the atmosphere is as it is at the moment, and the wind at this moment has now changed to backwind, so that just gives you an idea of its fickle nature. And we have 50 competitors from 14 countries who've made it through to this all-important first round. One or two who we won't be seeing, sadly. Vincent Descombe-Savoie still struggling with his shape for France, and his young teammate also, Thomas Roch-Duplon. Both of them absent, along with Alamomo, Ventura and Vasiliev. So just about to get underway. The clock just coming up to 4 o'clock in Switzerland, and everything set to go. We're in the canton of Obwalden, and they do refer to Engelberg more as a village than a town. And in the immediate surroundings, you've got places like Grafenort, Obermatt and Schwand, which may be familiar to you. The other famous thing about Engelberg is its abbey, which dates back to the 12th century. Anyway, enough of the culture, now to the sport. Gate number 16. Now, that's 2 down from what we were using in the trial round. And here comes this 17-year-old Frenchman on his World Cup debut. And that's not too bad. It's not up to the calculation line of 125 meters, but a backwind, not very heavy, but 119 meters, that's pretty decent. Jonty, as he's known, to family, friends, started ski jumping at the age of 6, based out of Courchevel. Could have gone as an alpine skier, but chose ski jumping, and that's not a bad start. 17's the average. That's a very respectable start. Will it be good enough to get him into the point scoring round? Time will tell. Now Zagrawski, who continues to really struggle with his position on the in-run and the takeoff. Similar distance there. The backwind compensation there for Jonty, in fact, had turned into a breath of front wind deduction, believe it or not. And front wind prevailing again for Zagrawski. Same distance, but the style for me, well, not as good as the young Frenchman. The young Frenchman with the early lead. Very good results over in Canada a week or so ago in the Continental Cup, 7th and 2nd, and could be a young man to keep a note of. Mum and Dad are English, but Jonty born in France. Now Luca Egloff, Switzerland for the host nation. That's well short, and that may not qualify. Luca, who's still looking for World Cup points. He was over in the Continental Cup competitions in Canada, but 18th and 6th his results. Ronnie Hornschuh, the head coach for the Swiss team, and loses about a meter. It's just having a look at this, yeah, it's still relatively quiet in terms of wind conditions at the moment, and let's hope it stays that way so that we can have a fair competition. So now the hill record holder Domen Preutz, growing up, getting taller. That's not easy to manage. It's why we haven't seen him in the very early stages of the season. He's been adjusting, adapting. Less aggressive, but still effective. But Domen Preutz there, over 120 meters, and goes into the lead. A little more front wind deduction there, just comes off the end of the table. It's not a bad effort by Domen. 4 wins, 3 times a runner-up, once third, and one of 8 previous winners in today's competition. 8 previous winners, of course, here at Engelberg. So Domen Preutz takes a lead over Jonty Leroy of 7 points. That's just under 4 meters. And Davide Bressadola, whose form has been virtually non-existent so far this season. Going over to his left again. Well, the green virtual line gives you a guide. Actually, the athlete can see that as well. And it's fair, but 118 and a half. Looking at the front wind deduction, and he's not going to be first, and he's not going to be second either. So 50 competitors from 14 countries. One of the most open starts to any World Cup season that I can remember. It really makes for enticing viewing throughout the Vierschanzen, the Four Hills. And Bretadolo into fourth place. Colorado, his teammate, will probably also fade out to his left. It's just a little imbalance as they come off the table, but it's something that Luka Krojcek hasn't been able to sort out. Better telemark landing from Colorado, who has significant experience, but 115 meters is not going to cut the mustard. Just a reminder, NordicSkiTV@gmail.com is our email address. We'll be delighted for you to take advantage of that. Try to get to some of your emails, particularly during the interval. And Colorado down to fifth place. Next up, it's Robert Kranec for Slovenia. Now looking towards his 37th birthday. 7 wins, 6 times a runner-up, 14 times he's been third in World Cups, but never in the first 10 here. Two-footed landing. Robert, you might remember, missed virtually the whole of a season with a very tricky elbow injury. And the top two, well, in top three, Preuts, Leroy, Zagrawski, all stay the same at the moment. Now, Kilian Parr will be next for Switzerland. The win there, back compensation 4.3, and that is the first set of backwind compensation marks. So it underlines that Kranec's effort was not that good. Higher in backwind, slightly quieter, now increasing. It really increased at the moment of takeoff, but that's not too bad from Kilian. Never been in the top 15 of any World Cup. 3 times in the top 30, gives you an idea of his performances to date. But let's put this in context. He's only 22. So far this season, not a point. So 7 points of compensation gives him an extra 3 meters or so, and just nicks second place away from the young Frenchman. And Romashov now for Russia. Never finished in the top 20 so far in a World Cup competition. Little bit off balance coming off the table. Sub 100, and I'm afraid that will be him for today. He'll have another opportunity tomorrow to try and qualify. Downtown Engelberg, looking very wintry, very Christmassy. And now Roman Kudelka. Not quite sure what we're going to get from him. I really am not. He was another of our previous winners, a winner here in 2014, representing, of course, the Czech Republic. Still to get his 6th World Cup victory. Doesn't set the world alight, and compensation going up now, backwind increasing significantly, 11.6 points of backwind compensation. One of the problems we had last weekend was a situation where the jury, the management team, decided to increase the gate, in other words, go up. Now, were they to do that here and give the athletes a little more in-run to gain a little bit more speed, that could be a disadvantage, as it worked out to be last weekend. Sturza. Just a hint of better things to come from this Czech competitor. Kudelka, by the way, into 4th place, you might have noted. Stusser, 22 years of age. Kudelka, who preceded him, 29. And the news is that Luka Egloff has been disqualified. More details when I get those. Volny. Hint of better things to come in training. But he's thereabouts, along with so many. So Volny into a third spot, but that really, in a sense, helped with 6.4 points of backwind. Now, Antti Aalto looks as if he was going off course with a 42nd place finish last weekend in Neustadt, but training has suggested that he might be turning the curve around. Nicely landed there, and it's not a superior effort, but Aalto, one of the improving talents for Finland. Style marks, I think he won't get much more than 17s, I don't think. So Domen Preutz leading from Switzerland's Kilian Payer, then Jakob Volny and Jonty Leroy in France in fourth place at the moment. Long way to go. Aalto into third. Well, still backwind conditions. The 1.1 meter per second, pretty well the average. Well, there's a self-made acknowledgement by Gregor Schlierenzau. 108.5 meters. That's just not typical. That's really a mistake on his part, and he knows it. And it's disappointing because Gregor, just outside the top 20 in Neustadt, coming back after a long absence, nursing the damaged knee ligament. As we see Will Rhodes for the United States. Ooh, two-footed landing again there. And that's very costly. He hasn't got the distance. The backwind at the moment is nowhere near as challenging as it was yesterday, which was where we were getting athletes with 20 points of compensation, indicating that, you know, you have virtually no pressure underneath the skis. That makes it really, really difficult. So Will Rhodes, who found World Cup points just recently, personal best. Disappointed by that. He was 21st and 29th in Russia, his best World Cup weekend ever. Poppinger, Austria, who have a fantastic record on this hill. They are the most successful nation. 16 times their athletes have won here in Engelberg over the years.
It's okay. Und 6.
Very good afternoon, Tamara from Slovenia. You're very happy to see Domen Prejec. We're very happy to see him. Now, here's his young teammate, Tilen Bartol, a rising talent. Tilen, who also one of several in today's field to improve their previous best in World Cup. He was 21st in Wisła, the very first World Cup of the season. Pretty good in the Summer Continental Cup as well. Slovenia, though, hasn't been a stellar start. It's been a few weeks of bits and pieces, really, more than anything else. Very good afternoon, Sharon. Yes, indeed, we have a young Frenchman who at the moment is still in with a chance of qualifying. Here's Michael Heibeck, another of the previous Engelberg winners here last season. That's nice. Very nice from Heibeck, and that changes the complexion of the leaderboard. Heibeck's timing very good, just shy of 130, and the style marks here will be good. Front wind, so it was a little bit more favourable for him, but that's irrelevant really. He executed this really well. Nice telemark, back quite straight. Heinz Kutin, head coach, pretty happy. And first place, and Michael Heibeck, who hasn't had a very consistent start to the season. 30th, 25th, 19th, 35th, then didn't start the last event in Neustadt. That's the best so far. Austria leading Slovenia, Switzerland, Finland and Poland. Kornilov for Russia, back on his heels on landing there. He's just not consistent, Dennis, at the moment, which is really disappointing, but 124 meters, second longest distance. Front wind has built a little bit, so that means he's going to lose a couple of those meters. 4.3 points, 3.6 points would be a deduction of 2 meters if you translated it into distance. And third place at the moment. Still on the first page of the start list, so still a long way to go. Now, Takauchi, 126.5 meters in the trial round earlier today. We've seen him to some good effect in the training and trial rounds, but 126, that is at least consistent, and that is going to put him up into, surely, I would have thought, second place to Michael Heibeck, so he'll be a little cheered by that. And now Noriaki Kasai. Well, Kasai's never won here in all of his years, but third here a couple of years ago. That's his best result on the Grosser Titlis. Short of that virtual green line, which tells you that he's not done enough to snatch the lead. Sub 120. This season not going as he would have wished. As I mentioned on a few occasions in the early weeks, the Japanese recognized that last season their performance was overall pretty poor. They were pretty embarrassed. As many of you know, they're employed by various big industry companies in Japan, which support them financially. They represent the company, and for a good many of them, when their careers come to the end, if they don't find another job in the world of ski jumping or sport, then there'll be something for them to do in the company for which they've served throughout their sporting career. That's better from Granerud. Interesting, Granerud, Alexander Sturkel, the head coach, had a little word with Granerud. I think maybe Granerud was thinking that he wasn't really secure in the Norwegian A-team setup, but Alexander Sturkel has set his mind at rest, and that's pretty good because it will take pressure off him. Now, he was pretty good yesterday in adverse conditions, 132 meters, and Alexander on the right there, pretty happy with that. And into the lead, Granerud, so proving that yesterday was no fluke. And Norway with the advantage. Norway yet to win an individual competition this season. And it's almost a year since they last did that. Aigner. Front wind, Austria. Aigner, who was 6th best in qualification, by the way. 128 there. That's probably going to see Aigner into the competition proper. I can tell you that Granerud and Heibeck have definitely secured a place in the second round into the top 30. Takeuchi will most likely get... No, he won't get a little nod because Aigner, with that effort, has secured a place in the second round. Timizaitz for Slovenia, 12th in the first of the 2 rounds in Russia this season. Not much World Cup experience. That's a new personal best for him. Didn't qualify last weekend in Neustadt. Snowblowers at work at the moment. So that, as much as the backwind being outside the corridor of tolerance, is the reason why we've got a pause. Green light on, as you can see. Not bad. Not bad at all. Nicely timed. The transition worked. And always a little rivalry. And Tillen Bartol, his teammate, 118.5. This is 10 meters better. Watch the legs, comes to the end of the table, over, straightens nicely, opens up there, and this is pretty good. Takes advantage of the pressure that he starts to feel as he comes over the knoll, pushing into the second phase. Decent effort, third, qualifies. Now, Konstantin Schmidt, bib number 1 in the 1-round competition last weekend for Werner Schuster and his German team. This bronze medalist from last season's Junior Worlds hasn't looked quite as convincing in training here. Finished 8th in Neustadt last weekend. Will do well to qualify today. That's a little on the short side. Just sense he hasn't been as comfortable here. I don't think he expected to do quite as well as he did last weekend. It wasn't the, shall we say, the most even of competitions, but you only beat the people who are there to be taken on in front of you, and he did jolly well. Out of 30, I mean, he was in 8th place, so he beat the majority, and 122.5 meters is in the top 10 at the moment. Gregor Deschwanden for Switzerland. Well, he's mitigated, or shall I say, reduced his points. 121, but he's not going to get much more than 16, 16.5, maybe the odd 17 out of 20, because he really didn't control the landing here. Remember, with the suits that they wear these days, when you come off the end of the table, you're accelerating, so you might take off with 90.8 kilometers of in-run speed, but you're going to add at least another 10 kilometers on touchdown. And Deschwanden doesn't look hopeful of qualifying. Danny Huber, has he turned a corner? Started so well in Wisła. Since then, struggled. That's fair. That is fair. 6th place in Wisła. Best ever result from the Seekirchen Salzburg Ski Club. 127 meters, he'll take that. And the execution actually pretty good. Skis nice and stable. Aerodynamics were pretty good throughout the flight phase. Back is quite straight, spacing is good. And Heinz Kutin has got another one into the second round, surely. And indeed he has, qualifies. So Granerud, Heibeck, Zeitz, Huber, Eigner, Takauchi, Preutz, Doman that is, all safely through. Kornilov in the wings waiting. And now Sturnen for Norway. Still looking for a first ever World Cup success. That's oh, what a pity. I thought he got the platform. Whatever the Norwegian is for drat, that's what he said. And that is gutting. Now, I don't know whether there was a bit of surplus snow because it is quite heavy, 133 meters. And of course his star points have been halved. And hopefully he hasn't damaged his skis. Now, have a look at this. Everything good. Timing good, flight good. Oh, just that little change of weight. And he lost control. And he's down in 9th place at the moment. But he is next to qualify if anybody else runs into a similar problem or is that poor. He's actually in distance, 5 meters down on Granerud, his Norwegian teammate. Now, Simon Amann. In good heart. And good form. Now he's been getting 17.5 and a couple of 18s. This is just shy of 130. Now, star marks. 17.5, 17.5, 17, 17.5, 18. That's par for the course in recent weeks. Now that is up a point and a half on what he has been getting towards the end of last season. Just a breath of backwind compensation, half a point, half a meter I mean. And Simi will qualify. Now where's he going to go with 129? Top 3? Oh, even better. And Simon Amann into the lead by nothing. He's absolutely equal on points with Halvor Egner Granerud. Petter Preutz. Little wobble on landing there. Amann, last time victorious here, 2011. Preutz was winning here in 2015. Not as good as Amann by some way. Simon Amann setting out today looking for a 24th individual World Cup win. So Petter Preutz better than younger brother Doman, who's down in 9th. And now Fanamel. Much better than his results suggest. There's a little proof of what I was just erring to there. It's not being consistent, but 133. He does what Sturnen did, but he stands up and finishes it off fairly, not fantastically. Again, might nudge 18 for style marks there. But can he do it twice in a row? That's the big question. And he will need to improve in the second round. But Norway back with the advantage. 2 Norwegians in the top 3. Ante Semenitz. Best to keep on the right side of this Slovenian. 8th best in qualifying. Perfectly capable of going over 130 meters. But not today. Little bit of backwind, things just turning slightly. Peter Preuts with front wind deduction of 11.2 points. Timmy Zeitz of Slovenia also 12.6. So the, sorry, I'm misleading you. I'm misleading you in terms of points differentials. I do beg your pardon. The wind compensation really ranging from maybe plus 1.4 points in compensation to minus 2.2, and 7 minutes into the top 10. Piers Paschke. His 12th place in Wiesbaden in competition number 1 of the season, his best to date. Piers outside the top 40 a few years ago here, but looking to try and keep himself amongst the German A team. There you can see just a little bit off balance coming towards the outrun line, reflected in the marks. Machekot. Not bad. At the moment, waiting in the wings, hoping to qualify. Piers Paschke, Antti Aalto, Konstantin Schmidt, then Jakob Volny, then Jonty Leroy, who's currently ranked 19th, probably 20th after this from Kot. It's not outstanding by Machekot, 5th best in qualifying, but his season has yet to move through the gears. Not looking good on the landing and down in 7th place. Incidentally, Sternen, who had that fall, he has qualified for the second round despite that tumble. So it just shows you what 133 meters can give you. I'm really pleased to see him in the event still. Stefan Höhler. Just a little compressed on the touchdown there. The backwind, 5.1 points, so the pressure from behind playing its part, but actually this wasn't that good by Höhler. Five times he's visited the top 10 in more than a decade of representing Poland. So Fanemel leading from Norway, from Arman and Granerud and Stefan Laie, who also is another athlete whose season, I would say, if you summarized it up to date, would be on the disappointing side, given his talent. And it doesn't make a major advance there either. $14 to come. So those who are waiting in the wings to qualify, they're looking for athletes who are going to come in with distances of certainly less than 120 meters. Now there's Stefan Laie, but the compensation gets him into 15th place for Stefan Laie. Manu Fettner. Well, I've got to say that Manu has never looked really comfortable since the first training on this hill. Hasn't really found the rhythm here in Engelberg. Now, that's probably going to be enough with the compensation that he gets and the fact that the star marks are not awful. But if he does qualify, then he will be going rather early in the first round. Just looking at Fettner's position, 13th, just ahead of Domen Preutz. And now Piotr Jewa in a moment. That's okay, much better than Kot. His teammate Kubatski still to come, also Kamil Stoch, 127 meters. Now, Jewa from Wisła has been in recent years, since Stefan Horngacher sorted out the in-run position, he's been very good in terms of keeping his points, particularly by the finishing of the exercise. And 18s across the board puts him up into 4th place for the moment. Kilian Parr has just qualified. Still Paschke, Alto, Schmidt, Volny, Leroyd. Those are the 5, hoping that 5 are going to miss out. Karl Geiger, 2 top 10 finishes in Russia, but again fair, but doesn't suggest that a victory, which would be his first ever, he was runner-up in Lahti 2 seasons ago, doesn't really suggest that he's on the verge of breaking through to get his first World Cup success. But 6th place. Now, putting that into context, 6th place, just to give you some distances, he is in fact just under 6 meters behind the current leader, Fanemel. Now, Kubatski, some good efforts, one of them over 140 meters yesterday. I still find it incredible when you look at what he's achieved, that he's only actually finished in the top 10 of 6 World Cup competitions. Kubatski, 4th best in qualification, and half a meter better than he did yesterday in the quali. Okay, and now the 50-to-1 shot, Robert Johansson. I'm sure he's going to belie those odds. Backwind, just a breath of it at the moment. Tucks down, comes down to the compression. Really has gone for this. Didn't quite come out, almost just sensing that he might have wanted that just a little bit too much. 128.5 meters, nonetheless. A similar distance has just seen Kubatski into 6th place. Heibeck hanging on to 5th spot. And he's going to be in that sort of zone. Jewa in 4th. 2nd for Johansson. So Norway 1 and 2 and 4. 3 Norwegians in the top 5. Johansson exactly 2 meters in distance behind teammate Fanemel. Fanemel, well, 66-to-1 the odds, and better on him. Now Eisenbichler. Eisenbichler, who seems at the moment to just be missing out. His performance graph is up and down, profile of a mountain range, if you sort of understand me. 5th in Ruka, 4th in Nizhny. His 2 best results of the season so far. At the moment, he's got 5 meters to find to be back on terms with Fanemel. And now Yone Damian another of this season's winners, in his case in Ruka on the big hill south of the Arctic Circle. And he's steady. Run 17.5 now. Will this open the door to anybody to qualify, I wonder? Piers Paschke, 119.5. Just having a look at this. I think Paschke's going to squeeze in here. And Yane is going to go out because 30th, still good athletes to come. And Piers Paschke will qualify. Or is it? Oh, the letter hasn't come up, but I'm surprised about that. Shunshiro Kobayashi. Well, this is a man who might make the bookmakers eat their words today. 20-to-1 shot, 129, pretty solid, and 5 points of backwind compensation there. That's worth another 2 3/4 meters, so that would take him theoretically over 130 meters in distance. And Shunshiro right up into second place, splits the Norwegians. In fact, he's joint second with Johansson, and they're both exactly 2 meters behind Fanemel. So Stoch, another of our 8 former winners in the competition. In his case, it was in December 2013, on his way to winning the World Cup in 2014. So Kamil Stoch, of course. I hope that many of you have managed to capture our up-close and personal documentary following of Kamil Stoch through the season with his wife, Ava. How they met, where they met, what it was like initially for him to become a ski jumper. And the last edition when he visited Liverpool, his famous or favourite football club. Johan Andre Forfang for Norway. Work to do. Fanemel, Kobayashi, Johansson, Stoch, the 1, 2, 3, 4, so to speak, and Forfang, 116 meters. Now, the fact that he's got backwind compensation, that's about the most compensation we've seen, about 8 points, which is worth over 4 meters. That would take him to 120. So 27th place, but there are still 4 to come. So mathematically, he's out of it. Here's the 11-to-4 favourite, Stefan Kraft. The best by far in qualification. Snaps the telemark, hasn't got the longest distance. Paschke, by the way, has definitely qualified. 119 meters here. And again, this backwind is now strengthening all the time. This is tough for these men at the moment. They're not getting the best of conditions. It's up to about 1.5 meters per second. Straight down the hill. Fanemel still leading. Norway's Daniel Andre Tande. 3 to go. Missed out last year here when he finished 4th. But on the other hand, Tande is in very consistent nick. When you look at his statistics, Now he's got almost 5 meters of compensation, which will boost the 123.5 to about 128 meters. So that will take him up the table. And Alex happy that Daniel has sort of got out of jail, 11th place. But the issue is that he's got to find the best part of 6 meters. Tande, 5th, 4th, 2nd, 5th, 3rd. Those his 5 finishes. And now the top 2 in the World Cup. Andy Veneker with the purple Milka helmet that for so many years belonged to Martin Schmidt. Veneker, who was runner-up here some 4 years ago. But he's going to be going a little earlier than he would have imagined. '20th, but don't rule him out. I've seen him, and you've probably seen him this season, fight back after a poor first effort. Might not win, might not make the podium, but he might climb. Now Richard Freitag looking today for his 3rd success of this season. Well, a hiccup for Veninger, but no really big problem there for Freitag. 124.5. 129. Style is not bad at all. Kept the shape of this through the flight phase pretty well. Telemark is, well, it's not his best, but it's not his worst either. And 4th place, and that means that we come to the end of the first round, and Richard Freitag is just under 4 meters behind. The top 5 separated by just over 4 meters. The top 10 separated by only 5 meters. So we have a really competitive event yet again, and who knows, another new name on the Roll of Honor for 2017-28, as this is how they stand. And as you look at this and we look for the top 30, I can tell you the last man to qualify was Piers Paschke. Those who narrowly missed out, well, Johan Andre Forfank, he's going to be not too happy about that. Antti Aalto of Finland, Konstantin Schmidt, Jakob Volny and Jonty Leroy in 35th place. But in his case, I think to finish 35th in your first ever World Cup, I guess he'll be disappointed that he hasn't squeezed into the World Cup points. That would have been something special. But he, like everybody else who hasn't made it through to the next stage of today's competition, they will have an opportunity to qualify tomorrow morning for tomorrow afternoon's competition. Piers Paschke there, 103 points to 128, so 25 points the spread. Turn that into a distance, 14 meters, separating the 30, will go in reverse order. These are the gentlemen who I'm afraid done for the day, so to speak. They join you and me as spectators to see who will be the winner of World Cup number 6 of this season. And the one disqualification, Luca Eklof. So we come to the interval, and it'll be Anders van der Mel in about 15 minutes from now, who will go last in the second round. So an opportunity to have a look at the best 6 performances. Aman in 6th, Stock in 5th, Freitag 4th, Johansson 2nd equal with Kobayashi, and Van der Mel leading. So we pick it up with Halvar Granerud in with potentially a personal best opportunity this afternoon. Just a reminder that Nordic Ski TV @gmail.com is our email address, so I'll try to pick up some of your emails. Granerud yesterday and today, timing very good off the table. Not necessarily the best of conditions, but it shows that he's in good heart, that he's in shape, and he's got a reasonable feeling. Now you can see here, comes off the table. Look at the knees straightening there, about a meter and a half off the table. That's a good indication of a well-timed transition, and nicely into the second phase. And Alexander Sturkel, well, he's happy because the backwind compensation has helped his man, and into first place, but 132 healthy meters nonetheless. Aman, he's been solid as a rock in this phase for weeks now. He never has had the clearest of telemarks, but with the right leg lead, he does seem that much more confident these days. Very good afternoon to Paul and Trish in Worcester. You're asking how difficult would it be to get tickets and accommodation? Not difficult at all. Keep in touch, and when it turns around, let's come back to the subject. I mean, it's, as I said, it's really easy to get. You can book everything in advance. Swiss Tourism, by the way, the tourist office in London, I know you're in Worcester, but they're pretty helpful in terms of getting you the best deals in terms of flights, trains and hotels. Kamil Stok now for Poland. Another man looking for a first victory this season. Kamil Stok, like Petr Preuss, a bit stuck on 22 World Cup successes at the moment. And Linda up in Norwich, well, I hope it's not snowing as much as it is in Englewood. Perhaps you'd like it to coming up Christmas. But I gather that you're sitting there watching with your grandson Ben, and he'd like a shout out. Well, Ben, I hope you're enjoying the competition. I wonder if you have any idea who might win this, because it's very, very close. Richard Freitag, I wouldn't rule him out by any means whatsoever. His confidence is very high. It's as good as it's ever been, really. And Dimitro, thanks for reminding me that Jewa and Kot room together as well.
124.5 meters, jetzt müssen wir schauen, wo landet.
Jakob, why won't Garmisch and Innsbruck for the Vierschanzen put in floodlights? Probably don't want to spend the money. That's the most likely answer to that question. And a very good afternoon to John up in Scotland, in Hamilton. It's great news to know that the stadium, Oberstdorf, will be full. I'm pretty sure, particularly the way that the German team are going now, that the likes of Freitag and obviously Wellinger are likely to bring big crowds into Garmisch as well on New Year's Day. It's a big arena to fill, the former Olympic Stadium from 1936. But nonetheless, a German team going well will motivate the crowds. And there's always a big contingent that goes across to Innsbruck and to Bischofshofen. And of course, Four Hills winners for Germany. Well, you're looking back at Sven Hanneveld. Jojiro Kobayashi, 20-1 the bookmakers. I did say that I thought they'd overpriced it, like Johansson. And very good afternoon to John in Brighton. And indeed, Engelberg looking, well, a bit of blue sky would make it really look like a picture postcard, but now we're late into the afternoon, the lights are on, but it's still very seasonal, very Swiss. And Andy Vick and Alana in Widnes. No, Ahonen just missing out on this particular event, and I'm sure we're going to see him in the Four Hills, where he's reigned supreme on so many occasions. I doubt, though, that this edition is going to see him pick up a 6th Four Hills title. Nonetheless, there were good signs coming from him. So we're going to take a little break, about 9 minutes to the start of the second round. Well, a few minutes to go, so an opportunity to catch up on one of our Olympic confessions. In this case, the confession of Sven Hannevald.
Hello, I'm Sven Hannevald, and this is my Olympic confession. The good thing about team events is that you're not on your own in the fight for a medal.
So ein Einzelkämpfer sein zu müssen.
The others feel just the same. Martin Schmidt was the last on the hill. We'd already secured a medal, but we didn't know which color when we realized that we had a chance of gold.
Aber gemerkt haben, dass auch Gold ein Thema wird.
We kind of learned to show off, to show a certain coolness at that moment, so as not to show our rivals we were completely scared. Once the one showed up on the scoreboard, we just started running. You want to get rid of all of the tension, stress, and all the chaos in your head. All these feelings disappear when you start to celebrate. We won by 1/10 of a point. No one could have predicted a victory like that. And it was the most emotional moment in my career compared to all the other team events I had before.
So still a few moments to go. A very good afternoon to Frank. Hopefully you're sitting there and enjoying things. Observation from your side. Delighted to see just about 9 minutes past 5 in Engelberg. All things are set now for the second round of competition number 6 in this Wiesmann-supported World Cup of ski jumping, with Anders Fannemel, the best on the hill for Norway, at the end of the first round of jumping. I'm David Goldstrom, together with Eurosport's Nordic team. Fannemel, well, the whole of the first 10 athletes are separated by just 9 points. That's only 5 meters, really close. Kobayashi, who's just behind, equal with Robert Johansson. Can you believe it? Robert Johansson 50-1 with the bookmakers. Yoshiro Kobayashi 20-1. And it could be, as far as the bookmakers are concerned, another surprise. I suppose you would say it would be a welcome surprise for them. We started the first round with gate 16. We stick with it. It's backwind conditions, less than a meter per second. Sit back and enjoy this as Piers Paschke for Germany gets us underway. Short of the upper red line, the calculation line at 125 meters. Piers, who's been in the points steadily, hasn't set the world alight, but nonetheless he's made points in every single one of the previous 5 competitions, and he's in the top 30 here, so there'll be a point or two coming his way, no doubt. 24th in the last two competitions. Not the best of timing and takeoff here, and a modest target, but still respectable, 205.9 points. That's okay, but it won't be, it'll be one with a lot more than that. So the next man to go, Kilian Payer for Switzerland. Now this is a really important moment for Kilian. Guaranteed his first points of the season. But how many? Well, not hugely beyond or up to Piers Paschke. The difference between the two guys, a single point, half a meter, and you can see same distance, so it all comes down to style. And Payer, at the moment, I would say probably the better of the two. Not quite so much wind compensation, and that's the difference. So Paschke stays ahead of Payer, or goes ahead of Payer, I should say. But Kilian Payer, no World Cup points, but at least he's guaranteed one whatever happens today. Andy Sternen, now you might remember, over 130 meters, but took a tumble, 133, lost half his style marks. Rotten luck. That sort of shows you where he is, and he's improving. The two-time runner-up from Trondheim, 124 meters. Backwind definitely increased for him. And star-wise, it's probably in the 17 range. Very difficult, though, to get yourself going when you've had a tumble. It just sort of makes it more difficult. You've got to wipe that out of your mind, start again. 221.4, so a healthy advantage, almost 5 meters over the two men who preceded him. And now Stefan Laie, whose season has yet to really start in earnest. His advantage over Sternen, infinitesimal. Not happening for Stefan Laie. Sort of getting rather left behind by Freitag and Wellinger, who've been the headliners for Germany. But when you look at the top 10, Germany only with Freitag in the top 10. Andy Wellinger is going to have to come from a long way back, but we know he's capable. And now Denis Kornilov. Can he raise his game? He often does. He rarely puts two high-class or good quality efforts together. Yeah, he was uncomfortable off the table, as you could see for yourself there. And that's going to drop him down. Almost a straight tailwind. But again, just under or around a meter per second in each of the 7 measuring sectors. So Sternen moves up a place, and now Domen Preutz, the hill record holder, first World Cup competition of the season. He's been back home, adjusting to his new body, taller than he was a year ago. Backwind compensation up to 7 points now. Seven points, just over 4 meters. Well, he knows what he's up against, really, and you can just see he's slightly fuller in the face there. Just suggests as he's growing up, he's adding a little bit more weight, and that again is another issue he has to deal with. Fettner, who's never been at the races, so to speak. That's about as good as it's been, to be honest, for Manu on this hill. 3 times third in World Cup competitions, 120 meters, chasing Sternen of Norway. His advantage a couple of meters, which will not quite close him up, I don't think. I'm looking at the compensation. No, Fettner will not lead. Sternen will remain in first place. But Heinz Kutin seems happy enough for him to go into second. Laje to third. Paške off the podium. Early days, and now Ante Semenits for Slovenia. Can do better. Again, his advantage over Sternen just a little bit more. About 5 points. 2.5, 2 3/4 meters. The cushion. Can't be really certain. It's been largely that way throughout the early part of the campaign, what you're going to get from the Slovenian athletes. It's been pretty inconsistent, and you can see they're really struggling to maintain that aerodynamic shape and the pressure under the skis right the way through the flight phase, tumbling down to fourth spot. Sternen, Fettner, Laje, Semenits into fourth place, and now Stefan Hula for Poland. More than capable of taking the lead now. Well, he's not far away from chasing Sternen of Norway. Just looking 120, not enough to go into the top 3, possibly into second place ahead of Fettner. It'll be pretty close between those two, to be perfectly honest. If he's not second, he's going to be third. Well, he's second ahead. Just having a look there. And in fact, once again, we've got a tie. 217.6 points. Fettner for Austria, Hula for Poland, equal second. And now Andy Wellinger. So can he do what he has done previously this season? Go right over 130 meters, put the pressure on, throw the gauntlet down. You betcha. Andy Wellinger. That's much more like it. He'll be kicking himself after the first round. Wellinger, a 7-1 shot with the bookmakers, 133.5, and there's precious little wrong with the style marks here. A breath of front wind, that's certainly helpful that the back wind had subsided. It'll be a very minor deduction, less than half a meter's worth, and possibly not 19, but certainly 18s. 133.5, Germany lead. Wellinger, new target, 242.2. So 20 to go, and Germany lead, and Stefan Kraft in these conditions. The management team want to keep things going. They don't want snow building up on the in-run. Stefan Kraft, the pre-competition favourite. It's not going to be a victory today. On yesterday's evidence, you could understand why they made him favourite, but he hasn't found consistency yet. 130 metres, his advantage over Andy Wellinger. 0.3 of a point, so this one goes to Andy Wellinger of Germany. Second place, 235, and a 7-point advantage to Andy Wellinger. He leads by just under 4 meters. So Sternen makes way, sporting congratulations, and Taku Takauchi for Japan. Their big hope, of course, Junshiro Kobayashi, who will be the penultimate athlete in this second round. Takeuchi climbing off the table, and unfortunately 3-4 meters short of the calculation line. You can see there for yourself. So far this season, training not too bad, qualifying sometimes neither. That's also been quite good, but on competition day, somehow it drifts away from him. He's gone fourth, and Wellinger, Kraft and Sternen, the 1, 2, 3, and Clemens Eigner for Austria. Austria with only one man in the top 10, that's Mickey Heibeck. Eigner also 4-5 meters short at least of where he needed to be to squeeze onto the podium. The wind fluctuating a little bit between back and front, but not in a heavy way. This is just a breath of backwind compensation. You can see it in the green. Eigner, who's got a personal best, I think it's 17th, his lifetime best, Eigner, in World Cup competition, if I remember correctly. 15th in Pyeongchang last year. Quite forward on his toes, landing there for Danny Huber, but he is on the calculation line. 1.7 points, the deduction for him. Style marks are in the 17s, I would imagine, here from the 5 judges. But just looking at this, with his advantage over Sternen, could squeeze onto the podium and does so. 3rd place. So that's better news for Huber. Maciej Kot for Poland next, and Maciej needs a confidence boost, needs a result. But also short of what's required, and Wellinger quietly moving up the table. 126, that's a 7.5 meters of bonus points difference in favor of Wellinger. And that's why these distance points are so important. So just pushes young Daniel Huber off the podium. Germany, Austria and Poland, Wellinger, Kraft and Kot. And now Timmy Zeitz for Slovenia. Zeitz looking to improve on his previous best or personal best, 12th in Russia. Outside chance of doing that. Well, he was in trouble coming into land there and curtailed, and that will knock him back, I'm afraid. $117 meters, he's going to drop down the order, no change to the podium positions. Petr Projec to come next. And Petr Projec, of course, one of our 8 previous winners. I have to say that so far this season, he's not suggested that he's totally ready to strike, but he's had, what, 1, 2, 3 top 20 finishes out of the 5 events so far. Now, it's a little more challenging from Petr, looking to go after Wellinger. 5 points, the difference in Petr Projec's advantage. from the first round, but not enough. And Wellinger now, who started this second round in 21st place, is now guaranteed 14th place. Preutz knocks Maciej off the podium. So it's now Germany and Austria and Slovenia, the 1, 2, 3. And Karl Geiger for Germany now. And his advantage over Wellinger, 6.8. Let's call it 7 points if you like. Needs to get to 129. And 127.5 meters in the first round. This is not bad, but not quite enough. Good enough for the podium. I think it might be when you add on the compensation. He's challenging Kott, certainly for third place, but Wellinger, of course, making ground. Matt and Stefan Kraft also moving up from 20th place. So is he third? No, second. So Kraft gets knocked down, and Geiger for Germany from Oberstdorf, where it's all going to begin on the 29th of December, takes over second place. Tande, one of the, if not the most consistent athlete. Ooh. Pulled that out of the fire. Wellinger, Geiger, and 129.5 for Daniel Andre Tande. Now this is getting much closer. His advantage over Kraft, 4 meters. This could be the new leader, and probably will be, with the compensation to help. Style marks of 18, and Norway take the advantage. And the march of Wellinger has been halted. Tande for Norway, leading from Wellinger. Karl Geiger in third place. Stefan Kraft off the podium. Peter Preutz down to 5th and Kott down to 6th. And this is Eisenbichler. I think that really reflects where he is. He's really reasonably consistent, but not threatening to reach the heights. And 125 meters, he's going after Karl Geiger, his own teammate. And Eisenbichler and Karl Geiger separated by barely a point, and just misses out. So we come to the top 10, and the situation is Norway lead with Tande, Wellinger second, Karl Geiger in third place. And here we have the situation, so 10 to come, and in the 10 that remain, separated by only 5 meters, 9 points for Poland, we have Kubacki and Jewa and Stock, 3 Polish representatives. For Austria, only Michael Heibeck. For Norway, Halvor Enger Granerud, Robert Johansson and Anders Fenemel. So Norway with 3 opportunities. For Switzerland, Simon Amann is in there, 8 points off the lead. Well, wouldn't that be something if he could notch up a 4th victory here at Engelberg? But he's within shouting distance on this day where the wind is a little fickle. Things can change. He's solid on the in run. If he can keep the telemark as clean as he can, then who knows what will happen. But it's Daniel Andre Tande that they all have to surpass now. He has a total of 245.4 points. So here we go, the final chapter of Engelberg number 1, and it's Kubacki going after Tande. Half a meter his advantage from the first round. Kubacki very close to that virtual green line. And just having a look at the differentials, Tande will prevail by my reckoning. Overall, this isn't too bad from Kubacki. Kubacki only 6 times ever finishing in the top 10. And third place at the moment, pushes Karl Geiger off. So 9 to come. And Mickey Heibeck, a year ago, it was his success here that really set him up for the Four Hills. Well, it surely must be a season's best, but is it enough to depose Tande? I think not. And Tande now moving from 12th place into no worse than 9th, and getting ready Piotr Jewa for Poland. Piotr Jewa, whose advantage over Tande, couple of points, a meter in his pocket. Jewa, who's only ever won one competition, that was in Oslo, Holmenkollen, back in 2013. So, just checks his bindings. A remarkable turnaround by Jewa in his shape and form. Probably just holds on to about 18s for style there. That was his average in the first round, but the distance is really his undoing. Need to see this off the table. That doesn't help us in terms of transition and timing. What we do know is, though, that Tande continues to move up the table. Likewise, Vellinger. It's worth remembering, Vellinger, 21st place. Now, Tande is going to move up to no worse than 8th, which means that Vellinger is going to move up to no worse than 9th from 21 and is still climbing. And you might remember Vellinger, he did something similar in the event in Russia when he moved up from way outside the top 20 into 4th place. Terrific, Granerud, best result of the season. Whatever happens from here on in, that's Halvor Egner Granerud, and it's been a very good Friday and Saturday for this Norwegian. 125.5 meters. He's got backwind compensation, which he's managed extremely well. About 4 meters, that takes him up to 129. He's challenging his teammate for the lead. He's got the advantage from the first round over Tande, but doesn't quite make it. And he misses out by 2 points, 2.1 points. That's a meter 20 in terms of distance. Norway 1 and 2, and they've still got 2 to come. Now Simon Oman. Well, in a way, you would have loved a 24th victory for him, but not as good as the first round. Not by any means. And again, that replay, we're joining it a bit too late to see cause and effect, if you understand what I mean. And as a result, an opportunity lost here with Simi. 14th, 19th, 16th, 12th, 26th, his 5 previous efforts. 9th at the moment. So the podium, Tande, Granerud, Vellinger, and now Kamil Stoch for Poland. Kamil Stoch lying in 5th place, 7 points behind Fanemel at the halfway session. Stoch, and that challenges Tande, because Kamil Stoch, a winner here in 2013, on his way to the 2014 World Cup title, 129 meters, virtually matches Tande's distance, and he's got a whopping 8.6 points of compensation. This could be very significant now, because that's like getting an extra 5 meters. First time we've seen Stefan Horngacher And that is a blow to the four that follow, because he's now thrown the gauntlet down. Stock for Poland, Tande and Granerud in second and third, Vellinger off the podium, and then they were four. One for Germany, two for Norway, one for Japan, and it's the World Cup leader, Richard Freitag. Less than 30 centimeters ahead at halfway ahead of Stock, but he's really challenged there. Backwind compensation is going to be even bigger for him than it was for Stock, or thereabouts. 129.5, and you know, this might just be good enough to deny Stock. Stock, Tande, Granerud, the 1, 2, 3 at the moment, but this is mighty close. 8.1 points. Stock got 8.6. How close is this? And he's there. And he takes the advantage away from Stock. Overall, a 1.5 meter lead. And Freitag now has to wait for the top three. Joint second place for Johansson, who goes first. Kobayashi to follow. Johansson, runner-up to Tande last January in Innsbruck, when the Norwegians, that was the last time they were successful in an individual World Cup. And by the way, the Austrians, who reign supreme here, 16 individual victories, and they will not be adding to that today. The podium looks like this. Germany, Richard Freitag. Kamil Stock is second. Daniel Andre Tande is third, and there are two to go. And now, well, the 50-to-1 shot didn't make it, but might the 20-to-1 shot make it? Junshiro Kobayashi, and this man, the winner of World Cup #1 in Wisła, through the compression. Nice body shape. Well, his advantage, Kobayashi, over Freitag, minimal, only 0.5 and 0.5 of a meter. 0.5 of a point, I should say, and that will not be sufficient. So Freitag ever closer to his third victory of the season, his 8th career one, and the man that stands between him and that new extra victory, Anders Fannemel for Norway. Anders, who's been a little bit in and out in his career, 3 wins, 5 times a runner-up. 1 time he's finished third, 46 times he's been top 10, never better than 6th here. This is the moment for the former ski flying world record holder. Can he put the second one together? He's very close to that virtual line. Distance will be everything here. He had an advantage of 3 meters over Richard Freitag, 127.5. Add the 3 meters, 130.5. Freitag, backwind compensation, style marks. This just might be Anders Fannemel. It'll be very close. Style marks go to Freitag. Alexander Sturkel knows that it's very close. Is this the first Norwegian victory for almost a year? Up we go. Better than 253.5. Yes, it is. 253.6 by the narrowest of margins. It doesn't matter. It's 0.1 of a point, and Norway get their first individual victory of the season. And Anders Fannemel, you could have had 66-to-1 on Fannemel. Really, he was one of the Norwegian outsiders, and so yet another nation on the individual roll of honour. Simon Amann up there to congratulate Andy Vellinger. It's been a while for Fannemel, and that's an important milestone for him. On the podium, Anders Fannemel for Norway, Richard Freitag a terrific second, Kamil Stock third, and just missing the podium, Daniel Andre Tandy, not for the first time this season in the top 5, and a 5th place finish for Halvar Egner Dranerud, and that is a terrific performance. His previous best was 16th, and so this is a new personal best. And Andy Vellinger there, up from 21st place into 6th, and that's a remarkable climb for the German, who lies in 2nd place in the World Cup rankings, and that will limit the damage. I think he's going to stay there. Unofficially, I've got Freitag with 450 points, Vellinger 359, Tanday on 330, Stock on 243, Kraft completing the top 5 at 232, and Fanamel just outside the top 10 at the moment, 100 points, bringing him up to 155. Denis Kornilov there with 1 World Cup point for his efforts. Well, Kamil Stock, a little bit like Stefan Kraft, feeling a little frustrated. He's been 2nd on the podium. That was in Wisła, and 7th and 6th in the last 2 competitions. Richard Freitag, well, his stats look like this: 4th, 6th, 1st, 2nd, 1st, and now in 2nd place yet again, but just by a whisker. But it maintains his World Cup lead, and that will certainly swell the crowds in the Vierschanzen. So presentation getting ready here. Here are your World Cup standings. Hopefully Horst Nielsen, the press attaché for the Ski Federation, will be getting hold of Anders Fanamel. It would be lovely to hear from him how he feels after a drought in which he's broken now, both for himself personally and also for Norway. Almost a year. It was Tanday who won in Innsbruck early in January of this year, so you get my meaning. It's been a long time for Alexander Stuckel to get a Norwegian victory, but that makes it very, very sweet. And another competitive competition in prospect for next season, I should say tomorrow, when we do this all again. So Anders Fanamel, he improves his statistics there. You can see I've got him that it's his 11th World Cup podium, but no matter. What really matters for him is the fact that it's his 4th World Cup victory. And Fanamel from Lillehammer, so and also close to Oslo as well, has at the age of 26 found the winner's top step of the podium once again. Well, apologies, we won't get to Anders Fanamel. I'll let you know what he said tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed this. Once again, ski jumping, very much unpredictable, incredible, amazing. NordicSkiTV@gmail.com is our email address. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and do join us tomorrow, 1:30 Central European Time, for Engelberg #2.